There we are, watching. I'll do the filming. There's Pete doing a bit of drawing on Easter egg.
I didn't ever think I was, but it's amazing.
There you go. See how he gets on with doing an egg. His creative side. And there's, there we are. Hey, how you enjoying in? See how we get on, eh? Yeah, alright. Okay. Alright.
What have we got here? Well, red, left.
Yeah, to be a bit creative.
Well, these are brought back from the 21st century, these.
That's it. So.
What's that?
There.
All the way
That's
here,
good.
I mean, all through Birmingham.
It's a good job.
Yeah, got your lights on dark. And as I got graduates more and more towards Warwick, it lightened up.
That's good. Pretty colours.
Apparently, it must have brightened up.
What do you think of that? Speechless.
It's all very well having a photograph taken watching, isn't it?
Yeah. It makes a change. He's usually doing it the other way around. Yeah. That's good. Clever.
I was experimenting with pipe cleaning.
Well done. That's it.
And then we could make an Easter egg. Oh yeah.
Yay. Oh, that's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
There. Well done.
Just over there.
It's all
Want to
right.
get in your photo?
Now you're all right.
Give it purple top.
Okay. Purple top. There we are.
Oh, yes.
Yay. That's it. Well done. That's excellent. Well done. Yay. Pete with the Easter eggs. Yay. Yay. That's good. Yeah. It's brilliant.
Actually, you used to, in
Cool.
Scotland,
Yeah.
you used to paint eggs, hard-boiled eggs,
Yeah.
and roll them down the hill.
That's right, a gentleman said the other day.
Right.
Yes, we did. That's what we used to do. That's when I lived in
And do you
Hertfordshire.
know what they were talking about?
Look at the shape of it. What's at that end? What's at that end? An arrow. How many points has an arrow got? Right, so how many hands are there on the clock? Okay. If it was 12 o'clock, where would the arrow be pointing? At the 12. If it moves around in the next hour to point to the 1, what time is it? So what if it's only got halfway between 1 and 2? Half past? Okay. And if it was a quarter of the way? If it was 3/4 of the way? So why do you need 2 hands? It only confuses children when you teach them how to tell the time. You only need 1 hand. Now some church clocks, you'll see, normally they've got like a diamond-shaped clock face, but they've only got 1 hand on the tower. Because you only need 1 hand.
Indeed, the sundial. You've only got 1 point, haven't you?
Exactly.
That's very true, actually, yeah.
And the link with the sundial is, why does a clock go round that way? because that's the direction that the shadow moves on a sundial. It goes around that direction, not that way.
So it follows the sun's movement around the globe, yeah?
Follows the shadow on a sundial.
Wow.
Okay? So, let's recap. You said that you've been to school and they taught you how to read, how to count and how to tell the time. You couldn't read, you didn't know the letters in the ABC, you had difficulty even counting the letters in the ABC, and you couldn't tell the time with a clock. Can you see why they were able to say that it was pointless sending girls to school? Yeah? Would you like to learn to play a game? Because I'm sure you can count to 6. Yeah? You only need to be able to count to 6 to play a game. Right? You take 3 dice. You familiar with dice? You know what dice are?
Yeah.
Good. You take 3 dice, you throw them, and what you're trying to do is get doubles. So I've got 2 6s and a 1. Now it will be your turn to throw, and you've got to try and get better than 2 6s with a 1. So if you threw 2 6s with a 2, you would win. If you threw 2 5s, no good. Okay?
Yeah.
So 2 6s with a 1. Did you bring your dice with you?
That's dicey, eh?
Go on, I'll lend you a set of dice. You can either throw from the cup or throw from your hand. So you're trying to beat 2 6s and a 1.
Oh.
So you think you've won?
Yeah.
Or do you think you're going to prison? For cheating? You said that you know what dice are. What's on the opposite side of a dice from a 6? Right, because the opposite faces always add up to the same number, which is 6 plus 1.
7.
Come on, I know you're not at school today. You still have to think. 6 plus 1 is 7. So what's opposite of 4?
3.
Opposite of 2?
5.
Look at the dice that you've just played with. You had a choice, you didn't have to play with those. So you've been cheating, haven't you? Those were known as high men. They only have 4, 5 and 6. You would also have a set of low men. Then you have 1, 2, 3. Now, depending on what game you're playing, because there's lots and lots of dice games, it could actually be in my interest for me to play with dice like this rather than making you play with them. Yeah? So, bear in mind that when you're playing these games, you're going to be in the tavern in the evening. You understand, mistress, why you're not familiar with these games? Because I'm sure both you and your mother, thought the I'm sure that both of you have a far more genteel way of earning money than frequenting taverns in the evening.
Now, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen,
wow.
Tanya is an eagle owl. She's not trained. She's not tamed, she's not effective. But watch carefully. We no longer have an eagle owl. We are at Crufts in the main arena. She is a dog. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you all to watch very carefully everything I do. You must watch what I do, because if you don't, you'll miss it. Watch carefully. Here we are at Knebworth. This dog is doing obedience. Watch carefully. The audience are all in awe.
Oh!
My goodness.
You are a stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Here we go. Watch carefully. You're all right so far. And I walk away. As I walk away, the audience gasps.
Oh. So, what are you making here then?
Firewood, basically, on log splitting.
Right.
It's one of the more essential tasks.
Yeah.
Shoot away. Basically, I'm chopping all the wood with the fire in there.
Oh, right. Right.
So we need a constant source of fuel.
Well, of course. Hmm?
So this is where I come in, really. So what I'm, these big ones I'm carving here.
Yeah.
These are afternoon logs. These are the big burners
Right.
for the fire in the afternoon. So, and then any little bits like that.
Yeah.
How I'm making to like kindling.
Kindling, yeah.
So nothing is wasted.
Right. Okay. So, what title would you have?
I'm a day labourer.
Day labourer.
So they sort of from freelancers. I come into work on a daily
Yeah.
basis,
Right.
and I get paid 6 pennies a day.
6 pennies a day.
Yeah, which isn't much.
No, imagine not. Like a zero's there's contract.
So
You
they
got
also feed me twice a day. And
Oh, right.
8 pints of beer.
8 pints of beer. Wow. And is that home brewed, the beer?
Yeah, it's not beer as we know though. They call it small. It's very diluted.
Oh, right.
So
I see.
it's what they start toddlers on. So for example,
Right.
milk today for babies is
Right.
beer.
Yeah. So you get the cheap stuff rather than the. I suppose the richer people get the good stuff.
The rich people get wine.
Oh, they get wine, of course. Yeah.
I get beer and cider, but cider's a poor man's drink, and it's actually quite nice. But it's sniffed on by the aristocracy, but it's probably
Really? How about that?
So,
Yeah.
so they feed me in bread and vegetables, really. Meat's
Right.
a luxury as well,
Right.
so that's pretty rich. So,
Well, of course. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
paid in money, beer, and vegetables.
Yeah, and we did learn, I think, in one of the other houses that that when they bake the bread, the upper crust get the upper crust.
Exactly.
That's yeah.
There's all sorts of. I mean, for example, the term "jack of all trades" comes from this.
Right. Yeah.
For example, Jack's a common name,
Yeah.
and I'm a day labourer, so I can do a bit of everything. So I can do a bit of this. I
Right.
look after horses. I can do a little bit of blacksmithing.
Really.
So
Jack of all trades.
trades, yeah.
That's very good. Lovely talking to you. By the way, we came here from the 21st century.
What is this thing? Is it a camera obscura?
It's similar to that. Yeah. Lovely talking to you. Your name is?
My name is Master Thomas.
Oh, right, not Jack.
Shakespeare.
She got to make a pile herself.
Of course, we saw
And she still
Jack of all trades, putting the wood and the kindling wood, and he chops it up and splits it. It is put here for the servants to put into the fires. There we are at the stables. The working horses. Lord will love this bit, I'm sure. Right. Beautiful. Yay! So, this is my bro. Only, like
Long
you said,
lost.
I've got a bit missing. Haven't I? I've got similar hats. Look.
I know what's
I've got a body bonnet though. I've got a body bonnet.
got a pom-pom.
Pom pom. I love
So
it.
you're the ostler, I take it. Is that right? No, what are you?
No.
We tell everybody we come from the 21st century. Back in time.
The wood turner.
Oh, you're
Ah.
a turner.
Right.
I'm
Cool.
assistant shepherd.
Assistant shepherd as well.
I'm pig keeper.
Really?
I'm multi-talented.
He's multi-talented. That's
Yes.
funny because I was looking at, I was talking to a jack of all trades up here.
Yeah.
But I'm higher than him.
You're higher than him, so you get more than 2 pennies a day.
Oh, much more.
How much do you get?
I get
6 pennies a day. This lady's well
Wow.
off. So you would be like a middle class.
not quite.
Not
Six
quite.
pennies. And of course I
Upper work.
get my meal,
Yeah.
my good solid meal,
Yeah.
8 pints a day.
8 pints.
Oh,
Now, he's
wow.
only got 4, if I remember.
Because
right.
he's not.
He's not. And do you get meat? Because he never got meat.
Ah, well, at the moment it's late, but we're coming to the end of late. So meat. Of course. But normally, we get meat. Yes. Because we prepare for the feast tomorrow's feast.
Tomorrow's feast.
Yes, but at the moment it's fish.
Right. And do you eat do you drink cider? Because you said
Oh,
the upper
definitely.
crust won't upper crust. We were told talking about
Yeah.
that about they get the top part of the bread when it comes out the oven.
Have you seen our bread oven?
No, not yet.
Ah, at the side of the house.
Okay.
See that?
But yes, upper crust.
That's
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
Right.
Soft
Cool.
bread. Yeah.
Soft bread.
Yeah.
Yum.
But
that's it.
normally there would be 4 or 5 main dishes on the table.
Right.
But at length it's fish.
Fish. That's it. Good, yeah.
But Master Palmer, being well off,
Of course.
can get a dispensation
He can.
by a quiet word with the cleric
Right.
and the exchange of silver. We can get a dispensation and we can have duckfish
Duckfish.
because it swims.
Because it's swims. I love it. I love it.
We have goosefish
Goosefish, yeah. We just watched the goose earlier.
and rabbitfish. That's very good as rabbitfish.
Rabbit fish. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
But there is the little dispensation. Normal people couldn't afford that.
Couldn't afford that, right?
Now they couldn't have rabbitfish.
Anyway, it's lovely. But and you're
Master Michael.
Master
And you
Michael,
are?
and I'm Master Pete.
Master Peter.
Master Peter.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
I'm
of
sorry.
course.
And that is Madam Nikki over there, and Madam Amanda.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Lovely.
Well, here's the farm pond as well. So, yeah, and look up there. That is amazing. The old carving. Yeah. Yeah, here we are. Let's see. I think those are Rhode Island Reds, I believe. I think they believe they're Rhode Island Reds, which are
Yeah, because it dates back
Traditional.
to centuries ago, where you were
chickens of the time.
only the last 100 years, maybe 150 years, that women have been able to change the rules.
So the last thing I want to do is melt the petals,
Yes, of
especially
course.
after about 3 hours worth of work.
Uh-huh.
Will mean starting again.
Would you actually make horseshoes here, or?
I don't. A Tudor blacksmith would have.
Right.
A blacksmith in Tudor England is the same as what we see a farrier today.
Right.
But since the 1950s, 60s, farriers and blacksmiths are split completely.
Really?
You have to be a licensed farrier in order to shoe a horse.
Ah.
Today, though, we are now artist blacksmiths, so we focus on artistic work.
Right.
Also, we rarely make tools anymore. I mean, some do, but in reality, because of mass production, it's no longer what a blacksmith will do, which is a real
Right.
shame. We make our own tools, but that's about it.
But not commercially.
Maybe some sort of like historic tool, recreating something that obviously can't be made on a machine these days.
Right.
But the Tudor blacksmith is making tools, equipment, shoeing horses as well. Because of this, he's actually a very high status member of the parish. Because basically you could be the best carpenter, tailor or stonemason in the world, you still need the blacksmith to make your tools for you.
Of course.
If you upset the blacksmith, he'll just say no. Not doing it. And soon enough you find you won't be able to continue with your craft. But another reason why you won't upset the blacksmith is actually the Tudors believe he is a devil worshipper or a sorcerer. They don't understand how he can do what he does, how he can make fire his servant and bend steel and iron, the hardest materials the Tudors know of, to his will.
Oh, wow.
So there's actually points where blacksmiths are driven out of their villages. People there proclaiming it as the darkest of arts. They don't want anything to do with them. The question that is, how long was it till they realised they needed all the blacksmiths back again?
Ah.
But there is this stigma around.
And working with fire as well, I suppose, would be, yeah?
This is it. And all his saints always have some association with the devil.
Yeah.
Although by this point Saint Clement is more the blacksmith's patron saint, even he deals with the devil at some point. But my favourite has to be Saint Eloy. Saint Eloy is actually from the 7th century, and the devil appears before him and demands that he shoe his horse for him.
Right.
Now, when the devil does this and appears, you don't say no. So St. Eloi tries to choose the devil's horse. But the devil's horse is so possessed of evil spirits, it won't stand still long enough for him to do it. So like any sensible blacksmith in this situation, St. Eloi cuts all the horse's legs off.
Oh,
Shoes the legs, sticks them back on, and seals them with the sign of the cross.
ah, wow.
And that's how he becomes one of our patron saints. But there's all sorts of stories surrounding it, and to be honest, I actually think the blacksmiths believe it themselves that they are doing some form of sorcery. What
Really?
you have to appreciate is they're not taught the science of blacksmithing like we are today. They're taught ritual and process.
Right.
By that, I don't mean they stand around their anvils chanting away like druids. What I mean is that the best example I can give, in fact, of it is actually arrowsmiths. When an arrowsmith makes an arrowhead, they need to harden it. And they do this by a process called case hardening, which is something we still do today.
Yeah.
But for them, they heat the arrow up red hot, place it in a box, and fill that box with ash and soot and ground up bones and antler. Basically carbon-rich material. And the science behind it is the carbon leaches into the iron on the outer surface, making the exterior very hard. Now there are some arrowsmiths who take this a step further, and they believe that the strongest arrows, the hardest arrows, are made by using bones from the skulls of children. And they resort to grave digging to provide those bones, to form a source for that, basically.
Wow.
Very many of them do get caught and put on against, have charges of sorcery put against them. You can get the idea of what kind of thought process they have going on there. So right now, I'm just rolling up the rows, placing these petals.
Right.
So it's out like this, and we're going to be rolling it together.
Wow.
Once it's rolled, we then have to fold the petals out to produce the rose. And this is the bit, again, where it can all go wrong. If I leave it in the fire a second too long, we're dealing with very thin metal here. So it doesn't take much for it to melt in the fire. So being very careful,
Wow.
and it can be very fiddly. As I said, I need to do a rose on the end of this, a rose on the end of the other one, and this is 2 halves of a set of fire tongs.
Yeah.
That's why I usually go quiet at this moment.
Concentration, huh?
Now these roses generally on their own will take maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to make.
Right.
We've done essentially the stem already. So we're just onto this, but this bit takes the longest because we have to be very careful folding it up, rolling it up, and then careful pulling the leaves out, the petals out.
Right. Wow.
And it's just a part by part process. Get further along with it as well, the petals start to slant out, so it means they're going deeper into the fire, which means they're going to heat up even quicker than normal. So it's just keeping an eye on this. And these roses are design that I've returned to over the past year, over and over, whenever I've had a chance really, just so I can perfect them and get them spot on right.
Right.
Quite nicely, so you can see it all rolled up together.
Wow, look at that.
So now we're going to bend out each of the petals.
Right.
Wow.
You see why it takes so long?
Yeah, of course. Well, it's a skill, isn't it? It's an art.
That's why I say today we are artist blacksmiths, and to be honest, we are very different to what the Tudor blacksmiths were.
Yeah.
There are similarities. How we forge things hasn't necessarily changed, but the major difference is it is artistic work that we do.
Yeah.
Now we are no longer farriers. As I said, we don't deal with horseshoes or horses.
Of course.
In fact, if you go up and call a blacksmith a farrier, you'll probably get quite offended. We don't use the F word.
So I suppose because my granddaughter loves horses, she goes riding a lot, and they would be cast now, the horseshoes, rather than forged?
They're not cast, they are forged.
Oh, they are.
Today, farrier work is very different as well. So, although farriers are trained to make the horseshoes, they can buy either the metal bar in, or they can actually buy pre-formed horseshoes.
Right.
They buy these pre-formed horseshoes, and all they have to do is heat it up in the gas forge in the back of their van and fit them to the particular horse's hoof.
Right.
But they are trained to make them
Yeah.
as well. Working quite quickly on this one, as I said, I keep going back to them over the course of the year, so I am getting a system down.
Ah, right.
This one's working quite nice and quick actually today, so
That's good.
still, we mustn't get complacent, because it only takes distraction for a moment for you to melt it in the fire.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm a gardener, the same thing applies to that. You're doing carpet bedding or something, you've got to put the art into it, and
Yes,
you can't rush it.
absolutely. So what people don't realise a lot with blacksmith works as well is just how long and how difficult they might be to make.
Of course.
People look at blacksmithing very much as just labour these days.
Right.
I mean, you don't become a blacksmith because you want to be rich.
No,
You do
no.
it because you love the work. You love forming steel and making these items.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. Well, it's the same as me as a gardener. I never made a lot of money out of it because I just loved what I was doing.
Yeah. And in that sense, it is very rewarding and fulfilling.
Yeah.
Making an item is far more fulfilling than necessarily being paid for it. Although I like people buying the work.
I had a job.
Of it is enough.
Yeah, I had a job like that where I was left in charge of an estate, funnily enough, and I was the garden steward there, and I used to think to myself, well, I'm doing my hobby, getting paid for it, you know. Lovely.
Absolutely.
And I grew my own vegetables and fruit, and got paid for that. Quite good.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think everybody should enjoy their work.
A lot of my friends have gone on to do PhDs, and
Yeah,
I was academic before. I've got a history degree, and
yeah,
that's the route I was going to take originally.
yeah.
I tried blacksmithing though, absolutely loved it. And I talk to them now, I say, oh yeah, we're doing our PhDs, but you're the only one who's doing what they want to do.
Yes, exactly. That is it, exactly. Yeah, I've had friends say that about my job too. So I got told off by my daughter for telling my grandsons don't take a job on that they don't enjoy. She said, Dad, I want them to go out and earn money. I said, that's not what it's about, is it? We do have to have money to live, of course we do, but find something that you enjoy doing.
And if you can, amazing to try.
Yeah, my first job when I left school at 15, that was in a factory, and I hated it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later on I did what I really wanted to do, which was horticulture. So
Right, so, although I don't need to, I'm just going to put a bit of heat in it and bring it over because it makes a nice effect when it's red.
hey, great.
Showing off.
Showing off, why not? Why not
And I'll
indeed?
just stop this, start.
If you got it, flaunt it.
Absolutely.
Especially
Control fire. If you do this, show it off. And I'll stop doing this after this one, I'll do my nail makers. But then I'll go back to this one.
And we get quite a lot of viewers on our YouTube channel, so... Oh, look at that. Wow.
There you go. Hold it out.
That's amazing. Oh, wow. That's
I'll just show these.
That is terrific. Right, thank you.